All right, ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Greene, protests erupting across the country, a lot of craziness, but this isn't what this video is about because there's something all of you may be missing, probably not my audience, but there's a reason for this deception. Everything happening on the ground regarding abortion and bodily choice, which is what it's really about, is meant to divide and conquer the American population for what I believe is the largest economic, financial, pre-planned collapse of the century. I mean, we have not seen anything like this probably since the disintegration of the USSR, the former Soviet Union, and or arguably the collapse of ancient Rome. And in my view, this is a deception and a cover-up. Also a warning, anyone playing into the two-party system right now and helping to divide, right versus left, can't be trusted at all. And if what they're talking about are the current issues on the ground, like abortion, I mean, let me give you an example of this, guys. There wasn't a single protest after all the stuff that just happened over the last couple years. There was no protesting at all. This is an intentional cultural divide. It is an engineered culture war approved by CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC. And its intention is to obfuscate from what I'm about to tell you. An economic, financial collapse in the West that I believe is about to blow out of proportion, wipe out the middle class, and eventually, like they said, reset us into a new system that will have much greater implications than anything happening in Washington, D.C., or any political protest, right or left. Ladies and gentlemen, a real leader would actually unite people, would unite the right and left. And even if there was political differences, would have people moving in the right direction, united on a common front. But you see, that's not what they do when they engineer these particular culture wars. It's meant to divide the country and to breed a lot of anger in the streets, even more division, which will only help those in power to have even more control. Because again, fear equals control. I mean, think about this for a minute, guys. There's still mandates, S's regarding serving in the military, Navy, Army, Special Forces, and the school system has those and wants to put things on children's faces. There's no talk about that or protests in the street, and the reason is it's not being propagandized by the media because they don't want it over those issues. They want it over these cultural issues to create the division. So let's get into the real story here because this is a cover-up of a giant debt collapse. Let me give you an example of this. Jerome Powell, who says he still thinks asset prices are too high, even though he raised 75 basis points and put Fed funds rate essentially still at zero. Biden and the politicians in Washington, D.C. want you to think that the reason for this economic financial collapse and the wiping out and eradication of the middle class has something to do with Ukraine or what happened over the last couple years when that couldn't be any further from the truth. You see, this all stemmed from 2008 and 2009, and even arguably before that, and those tragic events that affected the Twin Towers, of which George W. Bush told you to spend all your money and take your kids to Disneyland. This helped create a giant manufactured debt bubble that later imploded on itself. So it's important to note that the U.S. debt, which sits at an irreparable, damaging $30 trillion today, which can never be paid back, and will end in a U.S. debt default, which is why they're going to declare a jubilee, I believe, very soon, and a bankruptcy in the United States. And it's why hyperinflation is currently here without any abatement. And it's why they're obfuscating from prices at the pump and the fact that food prices are doubling and tripling, and the fact that you can't get gasoline or natural gas, or there's about to be another very dark winter in Europe. And they're also planning for grid down scenarios and electrical power outages. And even ExxonMobil says by 2000, I think it is 30 or 35, you'll never drive a car again. They'll all be electric self-driving vehicles. Again, there's a reason for this cover-up, ladies and gentlemen. So let's talk about some facts today. And this is just coming from the top of my head. I know that the U.S. debt was over $20 trillion. I think it was at $22 trillion before anything of the last couple of years even happened. Okay? Post 2008-09. In fact, I think they printed like $8+ trillion. That pales into comparison of what we just saw. Okay, even the debt's been continually piling up in recent years. So it's not Ukraine to blame. It's not Putin. It's not what happened over the last 2 years that we can't talk about. Okay? It's everything that they've been doing over time that is leading up to this debt collapse. And it's what we're living through now. So here's what you're probably underestimating. This is what I think the general public, maybe even you tuning in, or maybe not, might be missing. You know, I know a lot of you guys study this stuff a lot, like I do. But I think what people are missing is that Jerome Powell in his language says he still thinks asset prices are too high. What does that really mean? What that really means, ladies and gentlemen, is he can't control inflation. Okay, no matter how much they hike, they would have to take $10 trillion out of the current system in the United States and Europe to prevent sovereign debt collapse in the United States. There's nothing stopping this train. You know, I think a lot of people are thinking that, well, you know, asset prices are going to come down. You know, maybe we'll even see some deflation. No, I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think what they're doing is exactly what they tell you that they're going to do. Resetting the system, moving to a central bank digital currency, expunging and declaring a debt jubilee regarding debt. This is why they're getting rid of, you know, and rewarding egregious spending. If you took out a student loan, $200,000, they just want to get rid of that stuff now because the banks already profited in the trillions, and all of those executives are now sailing on their yachts. They've already bought 40 homes. They've already wealth transferred all of this wealth. I mean, again, guys, this isn't a recession. It's a wealth transfer. That's what it is. And it's going to continue. And the only path forward of the U.S. government is to create division on the streets so you're distracted with this politicking, right? You know, the upcoming election in 2024, they want you to pick a side, right? They want you to pick Trump or Biden or abortion or against abortion or BLM or non-BLM. They want to create as much division, political, cultural divide, and discord so they have absolute puppeteering control over the American masses, and then they can do whatever they want. Again, this is where these people truly breed their power. Like, if you look, I mentioned MLK or Malcolm X, Gandhi, for example, even Jesus himself. These great leaders, okay, and Jesus obviously in a completely different category. I'm not minimizing that. Lord and Savior, our King. But these great people that walk this earth, they came here to unite. They did not come here to divide. Okay, and this is what we need to understand. And this is why we've seen, you know, successful color revolutions, for example. We've seen this overseas. We've seen this in foreign nation states where they're able to bring people together towards a common cause. So here's the bottom line. The division is orchestrated. If you're playing into the division, you're not smart. If you're listening to people that are helping to promote and propel this division, you're just playing into their hands. You're honestly helping destroy the country. And you're not moving towards solutions, real change, or what all of us would ultimately want is peace. And so kind of what we're living through is the collapse of the modern era, quite literally, and Babylon 2.0, and Sodom and Gomorrah, where people are arguing more about a child's life in the womb and wanting to take that away. I mean, how horrible is that? Versus no one said a peep when they were locked in their house over the last 2 years. And the Supreme Court isn't ruling on the fact that it's mandated that you have no bodily autonomy to serve in the armed forces, the military, the Navy, the Army. No one's saying anything about what's going on in Canada, other foreign nation states, or Australia, or the gross atrocities of your ability and right to work to provide for your family being taken away from a lot of people in recent years. Again, this is how you know this is all orchestrated. This is all engineered division. This is creating an intentional political vacuum, also in Freudian manner, so people can let out their anger on each other and not the real problem. So here's the hint, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll leave you with this. It's not right versus left that you should be concerned about. You should be concerned about a debt collapse in the United States, the U.S. losing all of its sovereignty to China, Russia, and the BRICS nations. You should be worried about a debt jubilee. You should be worried about hyperinflation. In fact, if there were real protests, it would be over that. It'd be over rising food costs and housing prices and the right to work. Freedom and liberty in general would have nothing to do with what I actually predicted, that they would reverse Roe versus Wade precisely for these reasons, to get the cultural war on the ground going, which is what they want. Again, entirely predictable, problem, reaction, solution, Hegelian dialectic. So here's what you need to do. Instead of fighting each other or getting on one political side of the aisle, we really need to come together, and you need to prepare with literally everything that you can right now. Food's going to be a lot more important than the abortion debate in the coming months. Supply shocks, famines they're warning about. World War III is going to have a lot bigger implications than what's currently going on. Your money, capital controls, hyperinflation, the fact that the dollars that you've got in your wallet aren't worth anything anymore, guys. And this inflationary train, of which Jerome Powell and no one else at the central bank or Federal Reserve can stop, is about to get much, much worse. Guys, this is why I encourage you to prep with food and water and gold and silver, and you should be taking action regarding our Bitcoin course. The first ever in the history of the world, and this includes all cryptos like XRP, which I think will replace cross-border remittance payments, Ethereum, smart contracts technologies, dozens of other types of cryptos and blockchain that I review at school, that is truly unconfiscatable portable wealth in time of a crisis. And capital controls that billionaires like Ray Dalio are warning are going to affect the United States soon. At a time of political division where people are caught up in a false narrative fighting each other and not really understanding what's really going on behind the scenes. Again, guys, we are entering a catastrophic economic, financial collapse. A geopolitical event I've been warning about for going on almost a generation. And yet somehow, hook, line, and sinker, people are playing into the same story as usual. Be smarter than the machine, ladies and gentlemen. Let's pray that we all have discernment, and then more importantly, we're looking for solutions and also attempting to, create real change. Again, a true leader unites and brings people together. Division will only help the collapse of not just the United States, but any nation state. I mean, for example, if you look at what was done like with the Arab Spring, or you look at other collapses of nation states in history's past, it all surrounded itself around divisive politics and people fighting each other instead of the real problem. So again, be smarter than these tactics. Understand the rules and laws, so to speak, of propaganda. Study what they're doing at a very high level. And again, they're pumping this out at a machine level right now with artificial intelligence and AI and predictive programming and simulations that they've run. All of this is coming through your cell phones right now, ladies and gentlemen. They know every move. I mean, they're even saying now and finally admitting, but this has been the case for years, over a decade now, that artificial intelligence is sentient. Of course it is. It's been sentient for a long time. And now what we're seeing is exactly what we warned about. Collapse of what I believe is the greatest country in the world, and something that I would like to preserve within all of us in the spirit of liberty and freedom. Position now, it's not a sales pitch. I'm just telling you guys my humble opinion, not financial advice. You'll get rich if you take our course. If you click the link below, get in at school, start learning about this technology, build a portfolio now. You're going to need it. Again, all other assets in the world can be seized, but not crypto. It is truly unconfiscatable, encrypted, hardwired wealth that only you control with a mnemonic passphrase. Doesn't matter what happens to your Ledger wallet or your Nano S. I teach all about this at school. Those are just devices. It's all encrypted on the blockchain. So, when you look at historical wars, for example, Mario Andretti had all of his family's farmland, thousands of acres stolen during the last Great War. It was confiscatable, but not crypto. It's truly portable. This is a technological and innovation I think a lot of you are underestimating, not to mention income potential, creates cash flows. It's the #1 technological, economy driver of the next decade, arguably century. And if you're using it for good, especially if you're learning about privacy coins and how to protect and preserve your wealth, and you're helping to find and build solutions like the Island Project, which is truly portable sovereign wealth on a blockchain backed by real assets. I mean, think about what we're doing with that. It's incredible, ladies and gentlemen. We're taking land and real estate and then backing it on a blockchain, which is portable and has all the features and amazing qualities and benefits that I just talked about. That's never been done before. So understand you're being fooled by the establishment. So don't be fooled. Again, this is a cover-up and an obfuscation from the largest created, planned, debt, economic, financial reset that they created as a result of all of their policies over the last several decades. And they'd rather have you focused on fighting each other than really understanding the truth. Hard-hitting and in your face, guys. I'm Christopher Greene. Jesus Christ is King. Want to see you at school? Get in. Learn everything you can at bitcoinrich.com. God bless. Execute on that discount code now. Want to see you there. So does my son. I love you. Hang loose. All right, ladies and gentlemen, to join our world-class blockchain academy at bitcoinrich.com, enter the promo code, what is it, son? Lambo. Save $100 off today. Learn everything you can about Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the other hosts of blockchains, DeFi, smart contracts. Learn how to create those cash flows potentially. Change your life. Go all in with us at bitcoinrich.com. Link below. That's promo code Lambo. Get in today.
Join Bitcoin Rich School today. Promo code